Good evening, everybody. This is my first time really trying this out, so we'll see how this goes. This is entirely streamed to my computer, and I'm just going to, hopefully just sit and hang out and draw and try to use this as a kick in the pants to get this art piece done. Although I am now noticing that my music is not doing what I want it to do. So we're gonna try to make it behave. What music would be good music to listen to in the background? I guess we're doing creepy art, so maybe do I have something creepier that I have somewhere? I guess I could loop something pretty easily, but I don't know that I want to do that. Do do do. Um, if there were music preferences, if I had any friends in the chat, I would ask for music references, but this is mostly just to kick myself to try to finish something. So we're going to go with um, 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 hmm. Uh, let's see. Creepy music. Do we want creepy music? I don't know that I want creepy music. I guess I could play. Well, no, because I don't have a. I don't. I will have a. I will have a curated playlist of his stuff. The person who does the intro and other uh other music stuff. Um there we go. Oh, so it's in the background. Jeez. Alright, because I do want this to still be like quiet nighttime stream, so we're gonna try to keep that. Quiet, I guess. Actually, it will probably be easier if I turn this down for me. I will kick myself to make sure I have all my plugins. On better next time. Alright. I have been not doing art, and this is supposed to be art stream, so brain, please do art stream. Also, yes, don't pay attention to my layers. I am absolutely terrible when it comes to painting. And by that I mean I am entirely traditional art trained and based, so I guess I'll do this for the sake of it, so that we can see all of the process. This is my base sketch that was done way too long ago. That I am trying to do a painting for my housemate, one of my housemates, my best friend from childhood, and current, I guess, I don't know, partner. It feels like such a partner in crime. We'll go with current partner in crime. And by partner in crime, I guess I mean like we're never getting rid of each other, but this is a character that is theirs, and I have been wanting to finish this for a very, very long time. So I don't know exactly, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this. I was hoping a few people from the Book of Travel streams would be around, but they're probably not on right now. Since I usually stream more in the morning, I guess. But yeah, I'm just gonna end up staring at this piece and having zero idea what the heck. Alright, well, I know the hair is supposed to be a little bit darker. because it's not supposed to be red. Should I guess I can give it like a cooler tone. There are a lot of cool tones going on though. We'll make it a warm tone. We'll just try to make it a dark warm tone. For most of my watercolor art, which I have posted a few watercolor pieces on the stream, I use my I use an edited qual brush, which just has a tiny bit of editing to like the stroke path and pressure, but it's more or less the same that you find in the program. The other brush that I usually use is this watercolor brush, which I would have to look up the tutorial on how I did this because I honestly don't remember exactly how I did this. But this brush and the qual brush and the watercolor heavy brush, which is another edited watercolor brush, are the ones that I usually use for pictures like this. I think this picture I'm mostly using the qual brush, but we'll see. We're gonna turn this off for right now. And I guess I'm just going to work on a couple more shadows. Yeah, we'll see how, like, doing... Oh, that's way too thin. Way too thin, okay. Okay. Much... a bit better. Yeah. Oh, I wonder, this might be really hard to see since I'm working on the darks. So for most of my painting process, I sort of paint like I would with acrylic or watercolor. I don't really I don't really see I work on a bunch of different layers if I'm doing something to look more digital, or something like a more digital, like standard digital brushes. But if I'm working on something where I want it to be I want it to look almost like a watercolor, like I actually painted it in one of my watercolor sketchbooks, then I tend to work more with the let me turn on the highlight for how much is this showing through? Oh, that's barely showing through at all. I guess that makes sense. I think I have to turn off alpha lock. Yeah. Oh, I moved to that layer. If I do this, will it? I guess it gives it more of a base for the color to shine through, but it doesn't necessarily give you, like, the... It doesn't give this specifically a shadow. That's okay. There are certain areas where I do want there to be a heavy shadow, so I'll probably put those in. And I wonder if Lo-Fi Girl homework radio is something I could put up here. I would love to do some Halloween art streams with Lo-Fi for Ghosts on, as I really, really love that playlist, especially for doing art. But, this one's at least a little bit lively, and I feel like sort of fits the theme of creepy, eldritch horror fae creature. Um, let's see. Do, do, do. For those who don't do traditional painting and who are more into, or who have done more digital painting, working up your shadows and highlights is something that I am more well versed in doing, on, like, with watercolor or, pencil, not necessarily on the iPad. So right now I'm mostly just following my pencil shading. I feel like I want to change some of the face highlights though. I would like to, I think, have these. We're just gonna fiddle around with the color for a bit. Oh, actually, I think I will switch back to the quill brush because that is a little bit better for when I want to have heavier shading. Yeah. This I actually want to bring up here. We're gonna try to get... no, that's too... It's too pink. I feel like I heard an artist at one point talk about how they're not sure why these people or some people do um like very pink noses, which is interesting because from my understanding that was actually fairly common Renaissance thing, if I'm remembering correctly. Um, like just it was pretty common during like the Renaissance specifically to have like rather pink or pinkish noses, and like the tips of ears would be pinkish, I suppose. Whoops. I have to remember the tilt for this pen because I go back and forth between doing traditional and digital art, and sometimes the tilt for the pen always, sometimes the tilt throws me off for like uh, how wide I want the brush to be. Mm. We're gonna put that a little bit higher. Yeah. So a lot of this is actually because I am working from a picture, from a photo. So the line art is entirely in pencil. And so is some of the shading. So some of the shading is just underneath. I'm not necessarily trying to change that. This is also someone else's character. This is not mine. I am doing artwork for them. This is the prettiest nightmare. I think they're a very pretty nightmare. But, in case you're in case anyone is interested about like the character itself, I do not know that I can particularly speak to this character yet. Um, the person this is for might have some like specific plans for them that may or may not at some point end up being used, so I am just doing art um for them. Um and also trying to get better at dealing with the kind of color I want for this. Um Actually, I'm gonna try the harmony because I want to. If I color pick that purple, what do I get when I look at harmony? I guess that would make sense. That would be. Oh, yeah, that's why I picked yellow for the. Occasionally, I remember what my color, like my color theory classes were ages ago. Just, you know, not not well. Mm, I don't want to do, I don't want to remove green, so maybe we'll, yeah, I don't want to move green. So maybe we'll try, ah, okay, I did, that's why I had that color up there. Because I was using it as an extra, I was trying to color match it. This is the problem with me trying to do things after, like, weeks of not working on something. To be fair, I've been trying to have this piece, like, done for ages. I should turn that off. I'm not using that right now. Um, hmm. Maybe I'll try this kind of purple. Pink, purple, pink. Nah, we're just gonna go with maybe a darker blue, I think. We'll just go with a dark blue, yeah. And yes, I could have gone, or just gotten rid of that color, but why would I do that when my brain does not want to? I'll let the mistakes stand. Also, it does add a little bit of interesting, like, shade for the hair. I will re-go over the hair, probably, but I'm going to go over this 5 million times, even if it's a digital drawing, and I don't actually have to do that with these kinds of paints. Because it's not actual paint. Because why? Why would I make sense with art? Why would art's not here to make sense? This isn't here to make sense. This is here to be scary and pretty. Oh, I forgot to. I'll use this and then go, yeah. Yes. Okay. I am so glad I have some really nice color palettes left over from when I was, or while I'm practicing landscape art and scenery art for overlays and things like that. I do actually have some. I should probably work on another overlay. Just because I meant to have some overlays that I made more readily available, but I'm currently just doing overlays for certain streams, so it's a little difficult to have just random overlays ready for. I hope to at some point make random overlays available for anyone to use. Just because I think that, like, having some overlays that you can pick from as a new streamer are nice, even if they are kind of just generic overlays that um, someone is letting anyone use. Oop, that smudge was too big. I am smudging. I do love my finger painting, but I don't want to smudge too much. I will say that I wonder. I usually switch to the Mercury pen when I either want fine lines or when I want something to really, really stand out. And I want this to stand out. No, that doesn't look nearly as good. That doesn't look nearly as good as like a soft widening of those areas as opposed to, let's see. Yeah, that still gives you a glow-like look without it actually glowing. I'm used to, with watercolor, like in real life, I I know I could use like a airbrush or a luminance pen. I've used them before. I used them before in backgrounds or for overlays. But they're not, I don't know, they're just not as appealing to me. That's not, I guess that's not entirely true. They're appealing for certain uses, but I don't necessarily like using them um, just for glow effects. It doesn't feel the same to me to have like, let's see, I'll use that brush for more diluted painterly shadows as opposed to using the qual brush. These ones are better for especially a diluted watercolor look because they have that kind of round edge to it. But again, it really depends on what, whoop, and how I tilt the pen. It really depends on what you want. I'm trying to slowly build up shadows here because I'm trying to decide how much shadows I want. Because there's going to be lots of shadows in the background, so I don't know that I want. I think I do want more shadows on the eyes, though, because these are meant to. Those are actually meant to be shaded in as they were shaded in with the pencil. And yes, before anybody asks, those are octopus shaped or cuttlefish shaped eyes. I specifically used the cuttlefish for a reference, I think. Yeah, I specifically used cuttlefish, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that's what I looked up for the eye shape. But also, I just like building these shadows with the pen. It's really nice, even though this is making this piece take way longer than I normally would want it to take. I like building the shadows and the highlights. It's it reminds me of when I used to do watercolor. Um, for anyone who might be curious, I started painting with watercolor when I was really young because my grandmother um, graduated with a degree in art and was a watercolor artist that has had her work featured in a few small museums. And so I I didn't really want to go to school for art, which is funny because I didn't end up necessarily using the degree that I got. Well, I did. That's not true. I did work in that field for in the field I initially got my degree in for a bit. Um, I actually probably would have done more work in that field had I actually had uh more creative jobs, or I guess more outdoors jobs, which is funny. I used to be a much more outdoorsy person than I am now. But part of that has to do with disability issues and not necessarily the job or jobs themselves. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go with slightly more teal blue. Maybe that'll be a better color to bring out some of the, or to shade some of the. Oh, that is not an area I wanted to shade. I want to shade up here because there are leaves protruding from their back and hair. Um, but I don't want to. I feel like I did do a similar portrait, like, or drawing for someone who had a VTuber at one point, but I don't remember exactly. But also, I guess my style is very, very sketchy and not necessarily the kind of style most people would want for a VTuber, because it probably would be very difficult to rig. I've looked into 3D rigging some things. I like PNG tubers because I can easily make and switch or sketch and switch models if I want. And I'm not in particular, I'm not looking to necessarily do a VTuber quite yet. I'm curious about getting into it just because I'm curious about rigging. But that's more of a vague interest in the way that the models are rigged and how I find that interesting, and not because I really want to pay for any of the, like, things you need in order to do that. I would probably have to do my own model, and that would also take a while because I would have a very, very hard time settling on a design. Well, I know what design-ish I would want, but it would not be, it would not be easy. Especially with the amount of ridiculous things I like to add to certain stuff. Oh, I don't know. I don't want that color. I do think I want these, though. I want to color these. These are meant to be little offshoots and extensions. So they're not meant to be the same color as the background dress. Yeah. Here's the background dress as a purpley color. Ooh. I get like maybe 2 steps into a painting and I'm just like, no, I just need to keep adding paint and shadow and highlight. This is what happens when I really like a character, is I just don't want to stop working on the character design. And I did do a giveaway for art on my channel when I hit 100 subscribers, and so I will have that, or I am working on that art as well. I'm not working on it on stream because I don't know if the person who owns it would really be happy with me working with it on stream, and I would have had to clear that with them first because that's their character. Um so for characters that specifically are not mine that I work on, um I like to ask if I can put up process art of the character beforehand. In particular, just because I don't want others to use a design that is, this is specifically a friend's character that is, that I am doing, that I did the design for, and that I am fairly certain they don't mind showing off, but it's also, um, one of the only ways I feel like I can get myself to finally finish this dang thing, and because I did this sketch for this in 2022. If the little sketch indicator in the, well, you can't see it now because it's painted over right at at this moment, but it was visible earlier. It'll be visible again by the end, but I want to get this done so that if they put out any writing or anything on the character, they actually have. I should try to do like an actual, the simpler character uh sheet for this, but why would I I'm not good at doing simple. Every time I feel like I try to do a new drawing for a PNG or my own characters, I'm always stuck with the I'm always stuck with the but I don't but I can't just draw them in a normal pose. I'm so bad at drawing things in normal poses. So like I gotta make it flowy or have a ridiculous amount of nonsense going on behind it. But for um oh, also, I guess I forgot to I should shout out the playlist. I'll shout out the playlist at the end. I better remember to shout out the playlist at the end. I like this. This is a copyright free Norse Foundry music. So, allowed to be used in streams and things like that. Um, and they allow their mostly if they I think they started doing music for TTRPG streams mostly. All right, I'm gonna want probably a heavier thing if I want to do some white lighter. Yeah, lighter highlights around teeth and bone. I could probably use the mercury pen for this. Mercury pen I usually use for lining. Let's see. probably am going to want a mid-range tone for the eye socket, but we're not going to worry about that for right now. I will do some face shaping probably, but I also like the very round face shape. Yeah, let's do lighter lighter brush. There we go, because there are meant to be some shadows here. I better be in the, yes, I'm in the shading, the top shading layer. Okay, that's fine. That's good. See, and work in some of the shadows for the ears and for the eyes. No, no, we're going back on that. I think we're gonna work on, yeah. This is going to look so much different up close as it is further than it is further away, but that's fine. I wish I had a better setup to video record the actual sketch. I have a picture of, I mean, I guess I could post a picture of the sketchbook, but I don't like posting, I don't like posting just stills of art. Oh, I actually forgot to turn on my little... Did I forget to turn on my little channel thingy? Aw. Yeah, I forgot to turn on the little channel tag. I guess I didn't exactly want it to get in the way of the art. I mean, I can move the art over here. Sure. There we go. Now it's a little bit more centered. I'm gonna have to see how adjusting this looks on stream, but for right now, I like having the little art tag up there because it lets people know whose video this is. Particularly for streams where I am doing artwork for someone or it is a character that is not necessarily mine. Alright, let's see. Let's give you some nice shadows. done. There we go. And it's just slowly working up. Shadows is possibly one of my favorite things with painting, like any kind of painting, is just slowly working up the shadows to the point where you're getting a lot of like good blending and especially with, I do wanna, actually I might want to back this off of the eye a bit. Yeah, I think I do want to keep that off of the eye slightly. I do want to give the eye itself some shadows, but I probably am going to want to make this, yeah, I'm going to make the brush very small in order to do so. Oh. There we go. The dark shadows around that should make the eyebrows stand out too. I guess I'm gonna probably want to pull. I think this eyebrow doesn't have as much color as I should. There we go. Yeah. I guess I will probably have to post the full process video of this when I'm done. Well, I don't have to. That's not true. I don't necessarily want YouTube's new AI to ruin it. I do, however, want to get the undershading on that piece of hair to work. Yes, okay. Alright, I'm slightly happier with that. Slightly happier with that. I'm gonna get the hair to come all the way up to the edge of the face. because I think there's still some open space that is left to the that's left to the graphite shading, and I don't want that to be left to the graphite shading. I'm pretty sure I didn't use graphite. I used a mechanical pencil, but I used a specifically a mechanical art pencil to draw this. Okay. One of those, I think I need to open up. Can I open up the shadows? Yeah. I want to open up the shadows around. Well, I don't want. I'm gonna play around with this a little bit. Not sure. I know the eyebrows are a little uneven, but I kind of like them that way. I don't know. I don't necessarily. Drawing with the symmetry tool to make a face perfectly symmetrical feels a little bit weird to me, and I don't know. It just does. It makes sense if you're doing animation or you want a character to have that kind of like a completely symmetrical face. There are lots of reasons to use the symmetry tool that are fair and valid, and I have used it before. I just don't necessarily want to use it for this piece specifically. I mean, aside from it doesn't matter because the layer with the actual drawing on it is the actual page of my sketchbook. Here we go. Yeah, I want to loop. Can I loop that a little bit lower? I want to loop this little, the shadow from this hair a little bit lower. Yeah, I'm on the wrong layer for shadows. Well, I want this on this layer. There we go. Okay. I wish that I could, you know, I can't exactly talk to who this character is specifically, but I can talk to that this character is more traditionally based on the ideas of the fair folk being closer to eldritch beings than they are to what we would consider gods. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that my housemate may have listened to me rant about my old gods as eldritch creatures folklore rant a little bit too much. I mean, the character itself is much older, so like that predates like my folklore rants. This has been someone else's character for a very long time. But um can I put some other color? Yeah, I'll put a little bit of. There we go. That'll make that light. That's less flat now. That's much less flat. I feel like I'm lazy when I am just like, right, let me take a cool color and a warm color and we'll just use that to make it less flat. I mean, I will put highlights on it, but I want a cooler color for this though. Yeah, because I want that to not be as prominent. Well, I want the eye to be fine, but I want the yellow eye to show, but I don't necessarily want to actually have the rest of the eye be like a white color. Do to do. Mm, I don't know if anyone else has ever had this issue with watercolor on the iPad, but I have occasionally had issues where um, the it it just ends up being way too opaque and smeary. Um, I'm not sure why. I think it just has to do with the settings. I probably have something set wrong. Or it's set fine, I'm just using it wrong, which is highly possible. Oh yes, dandelions and dandelions is a theme of this character. Dandelions and creatures and nightmares. I think it's very interesting to associate. Well, dandelions are not necessarily associated with nightmares, and in folklore, they're actually usually associated with things with longevity because of how difficult they are to kill. Um, but I actually think I'm using not the color palette that I initially intended for this, but that's fine. It means that I added a little bit of new color. to initially not as a much flatter, more monochrome piece. Let's see. Oh, I was very zoomed in there. I should try this in my other, like, much faster style. I have a few different styles of drawing. It's just, I think my only developed style is the one that I developed for traditional art, and then for digital art, I just kind of end up with whatever I just haven't really found a good way to emulate the style for digital. Like, if I were to just do this digitally, I don't think I could emulate it. Well, I don't emulate, at least for drawing, I don't emulate that style. I have a much simpler style. I guess I sort of prefer to use when it comes to, like, digital art programs. Or at the very least, it's more frustrating for me to draw digitally, so I just don't as much. And usually I end up drawing specifically like off of outside of Procreate and then importing it into Procreate, which I guess probably looks weird from like an outside perspective. I think I have it in the intro, the intro art video I have for this is a piece that I did that I show the full picture of it, like, actually in my sketchbook, and then and then the process of, like, how I painted it digitally. That was a Book of Travels fan art piece. Alright, I think some of the base... base shadows are fine. Whoop, that was way too thin. Oop, too heavy. There we go. Oh, nope. End of that line is too heavy. There we go. Yeah, that looks like that's curling around. Okay. I was planning on placing that on top, but actually I kind of like how that is. It looks a little weird, but I'm going with it. Also forgot I gotta do shadows for the leaves a little bit. Now we'll do those in a slightly different color. Build up shadows for the wing and other creepy appendages. Let's see, heavier under there. There we go. We can have that be a little bit of a change in depth. No, wait, that's too... Here. Do the... There we go. I don't think I'm going to finish this tonight, and I was so hoping that I would be able to finish this tonight. Because I have... This character is meant to have auburn hair, not red hair. Although letting some of the red highlights shine through is fine. I think that shows more or less the correct hair color. Do I have face shadows on here too? Yes, okay, I have the major face shadows on here too. I think those were in a, like, cool color? Watch me be entirely too wrong about that. That's okay, it doesn't look like it's showing up as... It doesn't look like it's coming out that bad if it's... There we go. Oh, okay, cool. There. That's what I like about these blending brushes. They actually blend like you have a wet watercolor brush. Nope, don't need to make that prominent. Jeez, okay. Okay. Now I just have to remind myself of what portions of this outfit are actually in the back and which ones are supposed to be up front. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things I like most about slowly, like, painting up shadows is just working in depth in a character design. Like, it's really, depth in a character design is just something that's very nice. It's nice to work on. Drawing hands, sometimes not so much. Working up depth in a character design, kind of fun. But that also depends on... I guess that depends. If I give myself too many details in a character design that I dislike, then I probably will get tired of it. Obviously, I'm not tired of working on this because I have been working on it for several years. And I just like this character design. I mean, she's so pretty. Why would you be scared of this? That's a silly question. You're supposed to be afraid. I know that's not gonna deter some people, but this is my partner's character. Please be nice. They've had this character since they were little. I think it's their comfort character. Well, maybe not entirely. There we go. Probably I'm not gonna paint in all of the feathers just because that would be... That would be a little annoying, just to have to... I mean, I could paint in feathers, I just... I might end up painting in all the feathers if my brain just decides that it wants to keep working on this, just because. Oh yeah, those two, that does look kind of nice with the little... Okay, good. That does look nice with little variation in brushstroke shapes for the feathers. Just keep... some variation with... Oh, shoot. Nope. No. Stop that. Yes, I could move those layers. Am I going to? Probably not. Okay. Nope, not tiny. There we go. All right. We're going to take a slight break for a few minutes, and I need some water if I'm going to try to finish this. So, tea break. Be back in 5. And we're back. And I have ramen like a true artist. And I'm going to put on the playlist again. And we're going to try to finish this somehow, some way. Um, let's. Hmm. Put some quieter music on so maybe we can start calming down. Oh no, where did I put my glove? Come on. Okay. Art glove acquired. Let's continue with the painting. We were doing shadows. Maybe I need to bring out some of the lighter colors just so that I can kind of see maybe how that'll look. I'm on. Alright. Yeah, I'm on my highlights. Let's try to give these. Highlights in areas where it would be interesting to bring out detail. I guess now the trick is I made myself ramen, so I can't go to bed yet. So I have to finish more of this. Yes, because the shoulder with the skull on it is more forward. So this having a little bit more forward highlights makes sense. Just follow some of the lines for... Nope, nope, I don't want you to pick that up. So the weird thing, the light is supposed to go down the center, but because there's supposed to be some light emanating from the character, the shadows are a lot harder to do. Because I'm not looking at, like, just an external light source. But that's fine. We can... I like working in a very more, like, storybook style anyway, so having some of the light seem a little... ambient, is something I am fine with doing. The music is also still Norse Foundry. It's just a different album. So don't copyright claim me, YouTube. They allow their stuff to be used for their streams. I think I'm more worried about trying to keep some of the lighting consistent in an area, in a given area, than I am, like, worrying about a specific light source, which you actually should always make sure you know where your light sources are. That's actually a very important thing. I mean, even if you're doing more fantastical art, you're supposed to know where your light source is coming from. I'm just being a little lazy with that. I kind of have an imaginary light source in my head of where a few things might be coming from, but I'm working a lot off of ambient light that the character is giving off, and I may end up adding more of a glow. I know I'm gonna add more to the hair. I haven't yet, but I will add other parts. There isn't necessarily a line over there to dictate where the light is going, but we're just gonna add some splotches on this side just because there isn't as much light on that side, but also because I do want there to be some light. And also because there's these like really weird little actually, no, I don't want those down there because I have this up here. Weird little indentations that are sort of meant to almost resemble like serrations or tentacles or something like that. Oh, wait, I did that wrong. I did that lighting part wrong. I want to light up here because then I want the other bit to fall here. And that, yeah, that will give... I can't explain why I want it to fall like that. I do have a reason, I swear. Oh, right, because I have to do lighting for the leaves and the eyes and the hair. I focused a lot on, well, I didn't initially have the outfit done up as much, so it makes sense that I focused on that, where I had the hair and the leaves a little bit more done. Ramen. I'm going to mute myself for a second. Okay, needed a few bites of ramen. True broke artist meal. Just... oh, no, that's too thin a line. There we go. Okay. Now we have some of the lighter highlights in certain places. Mm. Maybe there. Okay. That has more highlights. Now that the dress has more highlights, we're going to try to do the hair. I wonder if I do the highlights in a cooler color, if it will kind of tint the hair so it's less red. Oh no, that's just gonna, that'll tint it so it's way too green. We'll try purple again. There's lots of purple in this piece. Yeah, there we go. That tints the hair a little bit. Softer. Less red. The question is, will this be too dark? Okay, I don't think that makes it too dark. I do want there to be still some highlights on the hair, though. But I don't want the highlights on the hair to be green because that would really just kind of blend with the leaves in the background. If I make them a lavender, though, they'll end up like, I guess it will be nice and fit with the dress a bit, but I don't want them to like, I don't want them to completely lose everything and just match the dress. I want the red to stay. I want some of the reddish to stay, I should say. It's not... I don't want all of it. Oh, I don't want to put that blue too close to that leaf. There we go. There, the red still sort of exists, but it's not nearly as prominent. If I duplicate this layer, how much does that? That doesn't really do much. Maybe it solidified some of the colors a bit, but not, I don't think that really did. Didn't do anything for like the shadows and the highlights. That's okay. We can keep working on those. The highlights. No, that's not the right highlight. Yeah, there we go. Lighter blue highlight. And bring out the hair. Should probably be careful about how much blue I use over there because that flower also already has a lot of blue in it. And these are very close in color. Yeah, I think it might be best to also move to some of the other creepy shadow appendages just to do some more highlights. Just to see some of the line work. I'll just use this to help see some of the line work over there because I like the pencil work. I don't always like my pencil work, but sometimes I do. Yeah, I don't think I can say that this is done, but it's definitely gotten a lot closer. I guess this was helpful in that. I don't think I want to rush to get the rest of this done tonight, as much as I am sorely tempted. I just don't think it's worth it. Alright, well, that's it for right now for this art process. For this character, the beautiful nightmare, I am going to sign out and hopefully you have a good rest of your day, evening, whenever. Safe travels.